Hello, I was just reading this book, which I bought recently online, second-hand. This book was published in 1973. It's 50 years old. Wow. And here's another book I got recently. It's an old library book. As not many people borrowed it, well, the library sold it. Give new life to old books. Buy second-hand books or go to a library. Hello, and this week's question is, what do librarians think of people? This week's image is the magnificent library at Trinity College in Dublin. It was a must-see for me when I was in the Irish capital a few years ago, and not just because it houses the captivating Book of Kells, but also because I have a lifelong love of books and libraries. As a young bookworm, my mom would regularly take me to my local public library, where the friendly librarians would help me choose the next book to devour. Years later, when I was studying for my A-levels, my mom mentioned to them that I was looking for a part-time job, and they immediately encouraged me to apply for the position of Saturday assistant. I did, and I was hired soon after, which led to me earning some extra cash and being able to read the entire collection of Asterix and Obelix during my breaks. My colleagues were amazingly dedicated people who had the patience of saints when dealing with kids, elderly people, drunks, and the occasional arrogant arsehole. All this came to mind after reading a wonderful thread on Twitter recently written by a librarian called Ali Morgan, in which she listed some of her observations about libraries and the people that frequent them. Here are some of my favourite comments. Number 1. A huge number of people under 20 can't read face clocks, having grown up with only digital ones. On top of that, a disturbing number of young people don't actually know how a library works. They assume it costs money. Teach your children about libraries. Number 2. Many people don't know how to spell library. It's in our email address. This causes problems when people want to contact us. Number 3. People use hidden codes like asterisks to mark which books they've read. Please don't do that. The system will let you know if you've already borrowed something. Just ask. 4. If an automatic door breaks, people will walk into it instead of reading the sign. Number 5. Some elderly people go through books at a terrifying rate. They are to be feared and respected. And I love library couples who argue over each other's reading tastes or share books and then argue about the themes. Number 6. Libraries aren't quiet anymore. They're community hubs now. They may have quiet study areas, but most libraries are bustling with activity. There are kids' classes, singing and memory groups for those with dementia, craft sessions, and noisy office equipment. Number 7. Libraries remain the only place where you can spend hours in a publicly accessible building without being expected to spend money. Parents come to entertain their children for free on wet days. People in poverty come for a warm place to sit. Number 8. Most of the facilities are only working because staff pay out of their own pockets to get things working. My manager bought a new laminator when we couldn't afford one. She buys colouring materials for kids. We often bring our own stationery and light bulbs. Number 9. The single best moment is when a library user graduates from young adult to adult, and suddenly the entire library is open to them. They can read anything. No more tiny teen section. All the classics, sci-fi, horror. You can follow Ali Morgan on Twitter, and why not check out her recent book? And while you do that, I'm going to the study room in my local library. I've got exams next week. When I went to university, the enormous campus library was the only place I could concentrate. Simply being near the endless shelves of books calmed my mind and allowed me to focus. Hopefully, I'll find the peace and quiet I need to revise and pass my exams just around the corner. Let's chat about the picture and those ideas. Number 1, describe the picture in as much detail as possible. Number 2, do you ever use the public libraries where you live? Why? Why not? Number 3, what services do public libraries typically provide? Should they be free or paid? Number 4, do you have a lot of books at home? How are they organized? Have you read them all? Number 5, what are your favorite genres and authors? Explain why you like them. And here's an activity for you. Imagine that you work in a public library in your town. What are the different jobs that you have to do? And what services would you organize that would benefit the local community? Thank you for passing by. I hope this was useful. Have a great day, have a great week, and an absolutely fantastic weekend. Bye.